I introduced the bill to do that. And I got to tell you, I go to airports, I go around. People came up to me. People are stressed out by the amount of hours they have to work.
Absolutely.
All right. So what I'm saying here is let's take a hard look about how we utilize this technology to improve life for all people. Our goal should be, instead of bombing Iran, our goal should be right now, Joe, our life expectancy in America is lower than it is in other major countries. You know that?
Yes.
It's 4 years shorter lifespans than other wealthy countries. If you're working class in America, you live 7 years shorter life than the 1%, which is, to me, just outrageous. All right. So here's the thing. Instead of bombing Iran, how do we increase life expectancy so that we're living the longest lives of many people on Earth? How's that for a goal?
Well, that's a great goal. And how do you go about achieving that goal?
Well, healthcare is one. Reducing the work week is another. Education is all the things that we've talked about.
All the things we talked about.
All right.
Right.
Will increase life expectancy, but have a goal out there.
Also taking toxic food out
Exactly.
Yeah.
I've known Bobby Kennedy for a long time, and I have gone in different directions politically. But the point about health, food.
We spend the most, and we're the sickest.
Absolutely. And food is one of the. When I was chairman of the committee, we worked very hard to get serious labeling. Some kid drinks mom buys a bottle of Coca-Cola for the kid. There's 10 teaspoons of sugar in that product?
Yeah.
I don't think people know that, and we try to get labeling. Maybe that will happen now. But
people also weren't aware until the last 20 years what the consequences of that sugar is.
That's right. Absolutely.
Yeah, also because of money.
You got it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Don't get me going on that one.
Let's go.
Yeah.
I'll get you going. Come on.
All right, you would think, how hard is it to say if you have a bottle of soda or you have a food product, tell people in English what is in the damn product, right?
Right.
Do you think right now they have any grams? Do you think anybody in America knows what the hell a gram is? I mean, that's how ridiculous it is. So I want parents to know that if the food that they're serving their kid could lead to obesity, which is an epidemic in America, could lead to diabetes, which is an epidemic, a terrible illness, costing us hundreds of billions of dollars. So you're absolutely right.
Right.
All right. And then that ties into rebuilding family-based agriculture in America. Wouldn't it be nice?
Yes.
In my state of Vermont, all over this country, family farmers are, they're just being driven off of the land. And that to me is a real tragedy because, and again, Vermont is one of the most rural states in America. Growing up, if you talk to people who grew up on farms, they say, Bernie, that was a pretty good way of life. And we're losing that. So how do you create an economy in which we, once again, put an emphasis on family-based agriculture, not corporate agriculture, family farmers who are growing good, in many cases, organic food for our kids, rather than corporate.
Regenerative agriculture.
You got it.
Like White Oaks pastures, the way they run it.
Absolutely.
Polyface farms. A
And
bunch.
wouldn't that be great?
Yes.
All right.
Well, we'd be a lot healthier if we ate that food. That's for sure. But the problem is people are already addicted to that other food. And this is the problem with money. These corporations have engineered these products.
You got it.
And these are the same corporations, unfortunately, that were in charge of tobacco. This is where it gets really weird. They bought out all the major processed food corporations, and they make this stuff that's unbelievably addictive because it's engineered by scientists. We got the brightest and the best who figured out what's the best way to get these people totally addicted to whatever,
How
fill in the
sick
blank.
is that? How pathetic is that?
Pretty sick. Yeah. And
Now,
they
you
say,
gave my
hey, these
speech.
people, they have choice. They could eat whatever they want. If they want to go to the grocery store and eat tomatoes and have a nice salad, they can. But shouldn't they also be able to get Pop-Tarts?
Yeah, I know. Look, your point is interesting. You remember there's a photograph, a very famous photograph. I don't know when it was done, 50s, maybe 60s, 70s, I don't know, of the tobacco industry executives coming before Congress. And you remember that photograph?
Yes.
And the congressman said to him, tell me, I maybe get this a little bit wrong. Mm-hmm. Are you aware that cigarettes kill people? No, Congressman, we have no evidence to that effect, right?
Right,
They were
exactly.
lying through their teeth.
Of course.
All right.
Yeah.
And it's exactly, your analogy is exactly right. These food manufacturers know exactly that they are causing obesity and God knows what else in kids, leading to diabetes. They know exactly what they're doing.
Right.
And they're lying. And they're opposing all of us who are trying to, among other things, make our food supply healthier.
Yeah, they are. And this is also a function of corporate America, right? This is a function of wanting to do better in each quarter, having this
That's right.
endless growth cycle where they're never they never say, "Hey, we make X amount of money every year. This is perfect.
That's right.
Let's concentrate on doing better for our community."
And the companies don't
Never.
even make that decision. The Wall Street investors make that decision.
Right.
You got to make
exactly.
You got to make more.
Stockholders. Right, because the shareholders will be like, "There's no fucking way. You need to make more money.
Exactly.
Otherwise, I'm dumping your stock,
You
and your
got it.
company's going to go in the toilet."
Right.
Yeah.
So this is what we have got to deal with as a nation. Is that acceptable? All right. Is it acceptable for food companies to poison our kids?
No.
All right. Well, what are
It's
you going to
not
do about it?
acceptable.
I
Right.
know. I'm the senator, not you, right?
It's a good question.
All right.
Yeah, it's a solid question. And I think the things that Bobby Kennedy is proposing and implementing, I think, are very valuable. First of all, getting all these poisonous dyes and all these things that have been kicked out of all these other major companies, including Canada.
Right.
There's the same factories that make these food products in America literally have to make a different version of it for Canada, and then they're complaining that they can't do it because economically it won't be profitable for them anymore. But you're already making them. You're making them and you're shipping them to Canada.